Super Speedway. We're joined by Jimmie Johnson. He drives the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. He's our four-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series defending champion and 2009 Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year. Jimmie, you carry a 6-point lead here into Talladega. You've said on more than one occasion this year that this race certainly is quote-unquote a wild card. Your thoughts about this weekend and the race on Sunday?
Yeah, it definitely is the wild card. There's a lot of risk at every track that we go to, but at this one, we've all been here enough to see it. There really is no safe place to be on the track. It seems like you can prolong your opportunity to crash until later in the event, which is a strategy we've played over the years. But at the end, when everyone's still trying to get the best finish they can, it's just full chaos at that point. And I think coming to the checkered last year, Mark and I were nose to tail, obviously in a tight points battle. The crash collected him, and fortunately it didn't collect us, and we went on. So with all that being said, we're excited to be here. I really, really do enjoy racing at this racetrack. Had a blast here in the spring. When you come back at the end of the year and the points are on the line, it's a more stressful event. And if we come out of here close to the 29 and the 11, I know we'll have a great chance to race in from there. If things go our way and we have a gap or something at that point, then we just got to be smart in the final three races and race accordingly. So we'll know a lot more Sunday afternoon. We'll all have a better understanding of how the final three races will go, and we'll just do our best until then and try to stay out of trouble.
Okay, thank you, Jimmie. We'll start with Ed Hinton and then go to Bruce and then Tom.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jimmie, considering Harvick's record on plate tracks this year, winning 2 out of 3, led the most laps in the Daytona 500 too, is this his best chance to break out in this chase and take a little command of it away from you and Denny? And also, could this be his last chance to break out and take command of it?
No, I think with both the 11 and the 29, this track is really anybody's race. Anybody has a shot to win. In the past, I know our record doesn't show us as a favorite here, but a lot of it's been because of the strategy that we've run. We just haven't been at the front. We've been at the back trying to be smart. But if I take this race out of it and look forward, the 29 is going to be great at Phoenix. Their 1.5-mile, 2-mile program has been awesome, and there's 2.5-mile tracks left on the circuit. You look at the 11 and the fact that he's won at Texas and also at Homestead, and he's no slouch on the flat miles, that he's going to be competitive there too. So I don't think this is anyone's last chance to break out. I think that all three drivers that are in contention right now have 4 really good racetracks, especially the final 3 for all 3 teams. I don't know. Those guys have been. I don't think so. I really don't think that this is Kevin's best chance. I think that the 3 tracks remaining, in my eyes, I think more about Phoenix than anything because of his success there over the years and how many laps he has at that track. That's probably the track he's smiling the most about. I would expect.
Okay, Bruce Martin, Tom Jensen, Reed Spencer. Go ahead, Bruce.
Bruce Martin with SI.com. Because of the paving at Daytona, you're going to have some testing in December and some in January. Would you like to see a modification of the current testing program, or do you just feel that in today's economy that would pretty much send the wrong message?
No, I understand the economy and the difficult situation to put the race teams in, but we've talked about it for years, and there's a few options that would work. But at the end of the day, I think a handful of test sessions for all the race teams at different tracks where we can collect data would be beneficial for everyone. There's arguments to say come in a day early, let the teams have the data, and go about it that way. At one point, I think we had like 5 test sessions that were open test sessions for the sport to come in and run. That would be an option. Or you open it up and you let teams travel to maybe 5 tracks of their choice to collect information. Either way, I think if they regulate it and keep it at a low number, it will be better for everyone. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but teams are going to get so much out of it from a technical standpoint. I think it will help to improve the racing, or at least take it in the right direction and make all the cars more competitive.
Tom Jensen, Reed Spencer. Go ahead, Tom. Can we get Tom the mic? Where are we at?
Tom Jensen, Speed.com. Jimmy, every good racer is a control freak. They want to eliminate variables, control as much things as they can. And their crew chiefs are bigger control freaks than the drivers most of the time.
Definitely in my case.
So going to a place where you have no control over anything, who is this race tougher on, you or Chad?
I would have to think it's more difficult for the crew chief because at least in the car you're occupied and feel like you're connected to what's taking place. I know from watching my younger brother race, I'm more worried for him and worried about a race watching someone that I care about being in a race than I ever have been being in the race. So I would have to think it's along those lines because all he has is a button to push really connected to the car to talk to the driver, and outside of that there's not much he can do. So his hands are really tied from where he's sitting.
Just as a follow-up to that, because of the random nature, if you have a bad day here, are you able to be more philosophical about it than you would be if you had a bad day at Atlanta or Martinsville or a place you would normally do?
Yeah, a bad day here is easy to kind of write off. You think, well, guys didn't work with me, I picked the wrong line, caught up in the big wreck, and you can kind of write it off. And the cars are so equal here. There's really not – there's small little gains in performance the team can find. But it's not like Texas. If you're off in Texas and finish 25th, it's probably because you had a poor performance and went down a lap or two because of running slowly, where you won't see that here.
Thank you.
Reed Spencer.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Jimmy, in New York before the chase started, you said about Talladega that you'd gladly take a 10th or 15th place finish here and basically watch the race from your couch. Now that we're here, as close as the chase is, do you still feel that way, or do you feel like you need to use this opportunity to try to gain some points?
Well, I mean, I always want an opportunity to gain points. In the past, especially the past 3 years we've left here, and this has been a very good track for us in the points. So I'm hopeful for that, but the worrying that's going to go on over the next few days, especially during 499 miles of the race, really even 500, because I think Mark was within a mile of the finish line when he got taken out last year running in the top 10 and ended up sliding across the finish line on his roof. So it just, there's a lot of stress that goes on leading into it, and as tight as the points are, we're going to have to race, and I'm excited for the opportunity to race for this thing. And at the end of the day, max points would be ideal, and we'll just see how things shake out.
We'll go Jenna and then Nate.
Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. We saw teammates sort of come into play last week when Kyle raced you down pretty hard and took away that position in the end. Is this a place where teammates can strategize and Hendrick Motorsports can sort of focus on the 48 this week, and what do they need to do to get wedged in there between the challengers? Yeah,
I mean, your teammates can help you. On a restrictor plate track, probably more so than anywhere else, and the way that the bump drafting works now, if you can just have one of your teammates push you at the end of the race and be in the right position to push you, it can really be helpful. It is so difficult, though, to find each other and to get linked up at the end of the race. So I don't think you can really strategize on how you get together, but you try to look for one another, and I'm hopeful that my teammates will keep an eye out for me, and if I need to get into a slot, will cut me some slack. And at the end of the race, if they have a decision to push 2 or 3 different cars, that they pick pushing me and help us out. And I also think that it's important during the race to make sure that you have other friends on the track, just to increase your odds of someone pushing you given the opportunity comes along. So I feel good with my 3 teammates, and hopefully the Stewart-Haas cars as well, and just try to also build more relationships on the track during the first 400 miles.
If it's that final wild 10 laps and you got 300 cars up there, maybe the 24 is one of them, and the 11's there and the 29, do your teammates help you then and try to wedge those guys out, or are they sort of racing for themselves?
I would think that if they're up there racing for the win, I would expect, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I would expect my teammates to be thinking about winning for their own reasons. If they're fighting for the win, they shouldn't be thinking about where's the 48. And at the end of the day, if they're taking the win away from the 29 or the 11, then they're helping me with that 10-point margin that they could take away. So if you're mid-pack and really don't have a shot to win, I think then their mind would activate, hey, where's the 48, how can we help? But if they're racing for the win, they're going to stay focused on that.
Let's go Nate Ryan. and then back here to Jamal.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jimmy, the last two spring races here, it seemed like two-car breakaways pretty much determined it with Keselowski and Edwards last year, and then Harvick and McMurray in the spring. Do you think that might be a factor again, that it might be two cars that hook up and somehow break away from the pack? And have you had any success with that, with working with one other guy or a teammate that's allowed you to sort of break away and get away from the madness?
Yeah, I mean, we can all make it happen, and we do it at different points during the race. Being in the right situation at the end of the race is really the key. And, the examples you mentioned, those guys played it right and were at the head of the line, essentially, and got hooked up and got going. It's tough to do it, and every driver through the field is trying to make it happen with 2 or 3 to go. It's just tough to create the circumstances, because once you get hooked up, if the road is full of cars in front of you, you have nowhere to take that speed and momentum. So circumstances really have to be correct to make it happen. But that's one of the few tools that we have. And, that position, the guy in second place most times comes out on top. And you're looking for that opportunity as well. And you're thinking, okay, yeah, I mean, at worst I might finish second here, but I have a really good chance of winning the race. So let's lock bumpers and hopefully at some point you seem to become disconnected. So you know that you can hold on for maybe a lap or 2 laps connected, and you take your chance and go. And at that point, just hope you don't get disconnected, because if you do, the speed and inertia of the pack coming, it's going to eat you up, and you're going to finish, 15th or something.
Final question, Jamal.
Jamal Brown, ESPN. Jimmy, Denny's mentioned his strategy is to be wherever you are during the races. How well do you race with the 29 and the 11 at restrictor plate tracks?
Man, I've had a lot of good luck and success over the years with both guys. When it comes to the end of the race, I guarantee you that we're all going to scatter from one another and try to not help. Or, I mean, if, say, the 11's behind me, he's not going to push me up to the front. I mean, there's no chance. Or the 29, I mean, it's just not what you're going to do. I think for the first 70-80% of the race, it's probably smart to ride together, and if something happens to one guy, it happens to all of us. I also think that there's another angle that you may want to stay away from one another, and that way, because if you take 3 cars out, now it brings in 4th, 5th, and 6th back into the equation. So, and there's so many ways to think through it, and I've said all along that I really don't get caught up in all of that. Denny, loves playing the odds and is very focused on that side of things, and it works for him. For me, Chad and I have a great strategy in mind. We know what we're going to do. And we'll get out there and race. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to race here for a finish. And we need to make sure that we race at the right time and with the right cars.
Jimmy, thank you so much, and good luck this weekend.